Hello, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript podcast. I'm Manuel Lemos, and this is episode 59. We have been doing this for about 5 years now. And as always, I have here with me Artur Sosin from Latvia, which is been my podcast partner for quite a long time, and is now celebrating the fact that this is a new daddy.
Yeah.
Hello, Arthur.
Oh, and I'm spending my precious sleep time on podcasts. That's actually awesome. It's over midnight already here.
Yeah, well, but it's always fun.
Yeah,
But
it's
so you
very
don't lose more sleep, we are going to talk very brief but interesting JavaScript topics. And we're starting from one that talks about WebM. WebM is format. I don't know if it was it created by Google or something, a video format. And there is this WebM.js library, which seems to be to play videos natively in WebM format. And we can see here that it works, but at least for me, when when I play it, the fan of my computer starts being noisier, probably because it is um, it is sucking the CPU of the machine. So it's probably not optimized for the video hardware. And looking inside, it seems it used to use a port of FFmpeg, which is
true.
a program written, I don't know if it is C or C++, which hints that they probably use the
Our
mscript.
beloved Mscriptum, yeah.
Yeah, everything that seems to require a lot of power is probably a port from some other language to JavaScript using mscript. And anyway, it even gets stuck. I don't know if it is the lack of bandwidth or too much CPU. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop this because the fan is kind of hurting. Anyway, it's just to say that yet another heavy-duty task is now possible in JavaScript, even if it sucks your CPU.
Yeah, but I think video demonstrates a converting process. That's why it sucks. It's not just a playback. You can convert to WebM format using the WebM.js library, and you could set the different parameters there as you saw. So it's converting
Yeah,
on the runtime. That's why it's sucking all your CPU. It's not simply a playback. Playback should be smooth.
yeah. Well, it's like the FFmpeg program itself. It also
Yeah,
does that.
true.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to another topic. It is about uh, getting started with Falcor. Falcor is an open source library provided by Netflix. Arthur, you seem to know about this better. What can you explain what this does?
I just uh, read through the article. Maybe let me try to share the screen a bit here too, and zoom in. Yeah, so what Hawker does, it solves two main problems. One is that some data that you want to access is not is not tree-like JSON format is, but is graph-like. So it does not have only parent and children relationship, but also more, not even sibling, but more of on same, yeah, well, we can call probably similar like a graph, same level relationship. So for example, ngconf could go to both categories, and this would be the model, how it could be added to both categories. It's also like some stuff like this underneath it, but you don't have to worry about really. It's like you can count it like a single model cloud of all the data that you retrieve from the server, and then you just ask something from it, and it checks if this data is already there and returns it, or asks the server for this specific data. So if you see there are simple example of the standard API that we have, that we request user information, it gets returned, then we will look for some events of the user, it again gets user information and events data, so we need both to display some information, stuff like that. And with Falker, we have a local cache, which is a model, and as a front-end application, we don't know which that data gets from where. We just request some data and it returns us and handles it on its own to request the missing data and cache it and store all data in one huge JSON model.
Yeah, it seems to be a more efficient approach to handle those use cases.
Yeah, but of course, as usual, you need to define that model and where to get all the data and stuff like that. But in the end, you don't have to worry about it. The model does it for you. It just structures all the data you get, and you can take any parts that you need from it.
Yeah, I kind of have developed a small library for a personal project that sort of did that, but in a simpler terms. It's probably not as extensive as this library. But moving on, we are now going to talk about a library that is quite impressive. It's called Tracking.js, and
it's like an open CV for the app.
Yes, I think you can say that, if not a port using JavaScript.
Also could be, yeah.
And I'm trying to figure which browser I should share. Maybe I should share the browser that has WebGL enabled. I just realized.
So while we're trying, maybe I can try to share this. Oh, so you're already starting, okay?
Okay. So this is Tracking.js site, and it has many examples. Some of them I could not put to work. For instance, you have this basic one that you
detects the faces.
Detects the faces. This looks like Facebook, and but the most impressive one is this one called Iron Spheres. I'm wondering if I can make it to work up because okay.
Oh yeah,
so I don't know what you can see if I move the head. I think it's the inverted logic because I'm moving the head towards up and it thinks I am down.
Yeah.
And this,
and what about right and left?
Right and left. I think I cannot move too fast, or else it doesn't detect it.
Yeah, so yeah, it was really impressive. At the first, when I tried it, I was like, "Wow, that's great."
And all this done in JavaScript. Yeah, it's very impressive. And if I can come closer to one sphere, you can see the reflex. But the logic is inverted. Like it seems I cannot do that. They have other examples, but I could not make them work, like this car. Oh no, it works. But what shall I do?
You selected some kind of controls. I don't know.
No, I didn't.
Try to press on racing car again. Like going back to the
It
selected
is
menu.
asking me, why does they need the camera?
I don't know. It's actually quite a good question. I could not figure out myself.
I need to move. Oh, well.
It's
Next.
like a cover tracking game, but I don't know what's the cover is about. Maybe it's
Controls. Wheel. Ah, wheel.
yeah. No, press on it one more time.
Touch.
No, keyboard probably.
Gamepad.
No,
Keyboard.
and put a lower quality to go better. Yeah, and now
What
it's
is HUD?
some information on screen.
Oh, I see. Okay. The air brakes.
I don't use brakes, just accelerate.
Just go ahead.
Yeah.
And go.
And now it does not have camera. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, maybe the controls. But what? Well, no. What is supposed to happen here?
It's just a racing game, nothing special. What did you expect?
I expect it to have to do with tracking.
Maybe the wheel was, and with the camera wheel, that you would need to put your hands like a wheel and steer it or something. Let me try.
Oh, I see. Let's try again.
I don't know. It just
Wheel.
an
Shall
idea.
I? Shall I? Let's start. Ah.
But I don't know. I don't get anything from it. So
Shall I?
Probably.
No, it's sharing the device. Shall I raise my hands and?
I guess not. I guess not. So I think it's just a game, just a colorful game that you can play, and it's probably rendering it
Well,
quite nicely.
this is very impressive. Which I could not make all the demos work.
Interesting that I can enable actually my camera to use it together with the Hangout without losing the Hangout video.
Yeah, it is asking for me to share, but you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
The faces again, faces with camera. Yeah, it tries to face. Life ray, I'm not sure what is this. Okay, well, anyway, this is just to show that the VITS library is very, very impressive, and you can do many things now depending on your imagination, knowing that you have this computer vision library, and I kind of liked it a lot, but well, apart from some demos not working. Okay, but moving on to the next topic. Sharing the screen here, please. The next topic talks about the problems about securing single-page web applications. They talk about several security problems, like cross-site scripting attacks. They have an example here. If you not escape the user input, you can have problems.
Yeah, and alert is the least of the problems that you can do.
Alert is not the problem. It's just to demonstrate that alert.
That they can
works.
execute any JavaScript code they want through that.
Yeah.
Which means
they also talk about secure user credentials. If you use HTTP, you can have man-in-the-middle attacks. Talking about using cookies to identify users, like you use in most web applications. As I mentioned, man-in-the-middle attacks. Cross-site request forgery is one thing that many people do not think about, because it could be started in some other site and it looks like it came from your site. And if you do not assure that for instance, any cookies that identify the user were sent from your site, you can mislead the users, and you can believe that a user that's probably accessing some other site is actually accessing your site. And then talks about other things that I'm not familiar, like synchronizer token, double submit cookies, session ID challenges, and also talk about JSON Web Tokens. This is quite an advanced topic, but seems to be the latest trend. I was trying to look into a solution for accessing a Google API, and they made it so complicated that now you have to either use a complicated library that you don't understand, but you just know that it works, or use some other, or try to understand all the security problems, all the security solutions, which is quite hard these days. So anyway, this is an interesting article. Anybody that wants to go in depth about these solutions and the security concerns, I recommend that you go ahead. So now moving on to another topic, and this one is quite unusual. Oh, where is this? Ah, screen sharing. Okay. Okay, no, this is the other browser, not this one.
I thought you liked the topic so much you want to repeat it.
Yeah, it's because I have too many windows that should not be for sharing right now, and it seems I'm sharing myself.
Whoa, it was a recursion there.
No, it's this one. No, it was minimized. Okay, that's why it was not working. Okay, so this jets.js, it's a native CSS search engine. It's kind of confused me, but then looking at their examples, when you go here, they search for certain values in HTML, and then they show the CSS that appears there, like styles and classes. And then they say by jets. By jets, I'm not sure what they mean. Could be these data content values?
Yeah, it's basically a library that creates a style sheet and uses CSS query for data content and heights based on it, and it seems to be working the fastest of all the other solutions, either applying the style or class directly to separate item. They just filter it by content.
Yeah. Well, it can be useful, although...
Well, if you need to search in a large data sets of HTML elements, it definitely will be useful.
Well, for instance, I use Chrome. I use the search in Chrome, but sometimes if you know the element, it's better to point the element and inspect it directly. But I understand that if you are not sure exactly where is the element on the page, this may make sense.
No, it's not even like that. It's just a list of or a table of users. Then you can browse, not the browse, but filter and search. And what is the fastest way to search it? That should be
Yeah,
this way.
yeah, exactly. Uh, okay, now moving on. Just to mention briefly that the Node.js project is coming quite fast because they just merged, like merged the Node.js and the IO.js efforts and created the Node.js 4 .0 just recently, and right after they released 4.1. And well, to me, it looks like a minor version with bug
Some
fixes,
fixes. Yeah.
not exactly something with new features.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Arthur, have you been using a Node.js 4?
Have not yet tried it. The famous version of when they after they merge with IOJS should have many new things, but as you see, the one version came out and recently other version came out, probably as you said, to do some bug fixes, which means it might not be as stable to use for
Yes,
production
because
environment.
they call it stable and put it in capitals. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, it might be stable. It passes all the tests, but there could be some situations which were not
some,
tested.
yeah, but they have also a list of known issues,
Yeah.
so it probably does not pass all the tests, at least the tests that they should be done to verify those bugs. Anyway, well, Node.js is moving quite fast. That's what matters to comment about this. So I'm moving on to another topic. This time about an interesting library called OpenSeaDragon. SeaDragon, if I remember correctly, was a technology developed by by Microsoft to show high resolution images. And in this case, this OpenSeaDragon seems to be open source version of a similar library.
For
Lets
that.
you zoom. You can zoom on the images and get to see the details.
The interesting
The,
part that when you zoom, you actually see that it is quite pixelated, and only then it becomes more clear. So it means the first view that you view the image, it does not load the whole large image with all the pixels that show. It loads like a smaller version of it, and then
yeah,
only loads the higher resolution version when you zoom in. So it should be quite efficient in that way.
yeah, and it's quite fast. Sorry,
Yeah.
and you can pan also if you want to take a look at this guy's face. Well, you don't get much more than this, but uh, it gets many details. It's interesting.
Yeah, and
Uh,
even if you pan to left or the right, it loads only that specific areas in the large resolution. Yeah, so it's really as efficient as it goes, probably.
yeah, seems very efficient. So now moving on to another topic, which mentions that ECMAScript specification moved to GitHub. But probably the most interesting detail of this story it's not so much about. Oh wait, I have to. It's not so much the move to GitHub, but the fact that they use Eck markup instead of Word. So they say it's a custom dialect of HTML built for writing ECMAScript specifications. This change will make it much easier for the JavaScript to contribute, because since it's all texts, it's easier to do version control and do diffs. If you use Microsoft Word before, probably you have to do a special procedure just to compare versions.
Yeah, there are functions like track changes, but it would be much harder. That simple
Yeah.
text is.
And there is this page on GitHub.io that documents the Eck markup. It is interesting. They even provide some libraries to actually process the
convert the markup
specification
to HTML or something like that.
Yeah, there is they tell about the commands that it supports, the clauses, and so, and then how it can convert it, for instance, to HTML.
So it seems to be much more complex than Markdown, and it could even be on par with LaTeX.
Yeah, I was thinking precisely about LaTeX, because it has many tags that are commands that expand to complex blocks, and it's practically a language. Yeah, well, this is just a curiosity, not really directly related with JavaScript, but now the specification of ECMAScript 2016 is being done using this new markup language. Okay, practically we reached the end of this podcast. I would like to thank you, Arthur, for staying up so late and depriving for your sleep. But now that we accomplished this mission of recording another interesting JavaScript podcast, I would like to thank you all for coming. And Arthur, I hope to see you still alive next month after surviving another struggle with feeding your new baby and keeping him healthy.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, on my behalf, that is all for now. Bye.